So I just finished watching the first official episode of the new Doctor Who series by Disney Plus. Man, every time I say that, I just get more and more depressed. Just end me now. But I don't want this video to be completely doom and gloom and completely and utterly depressing, so let's go over the good things first. I believe the choice of actors for the new Doctor and the new companion, I think the acting choice was actually quite decent. I think they actually had a decent cast. Their acting ability is pretty solid, you know, not many complaints from me. My only real complaint is that the Doctor seems a bit overly optimistic and overly cheery, and, you know, the Doctor is just generally just a good guy and tries to be, you know, a good person and uplifting and comedic, because that's just the kind of character the Doctor is. But when it came to talking about serious things like his backstory and Gallifrey and all that, he seemed a bit, I don't know, he seemed a bit just okay with everything. And I get that he's had thousands of years to get over it, but in the past, almost every time the note of Gallifrey has been brought up, he just sort of goes monotone and is just like, my home's gone. I'm the last of my people. And, you know, his shift from trying to be happy as he can to talking about the serious stuff was very drastic in the past. But this time he just was just like, yeah, you know, my people are gone. It kind of sucks, but it's whatever. And I was just kind of like, that kind of didn't feel right with me. The new companion, Ruby Sunday, pretty decent companion. She kind of feels similar, like her overarching story feels kind of similar to Clara Oswald's story, in the sense that, like, there's something, you know, like, clearly abnormal about her, where, I mean, yeah, the companions in the past have had abnormalities in the past, but I don't know, the way they're presenting it and the way the Doctor's, like, at the very end of the episode, he was, like, doing a DNA scan and trying to figure out more about what Ruby really is, like, in the vast array of time and space. The Doctor's, like, attitude towards figuring out what she is very similar to how it was with Clara, and I was kind of just like, okay, so they're doing this again, okay. And, you know, in the past, like, almost every companion has some sort of abnormality, like time-space type thing, where Rose Tyler, there was the whole Bad Wolf thing, where she absorbed the Tardis, and then with Amy, it was like, she had the crack in her wall, and that sort of, like, created all sorts of distortions around her, and then with Clara, you know, she appeared multiple times throughout time and space, and the Doctor was like, who is she really? And I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, it just felt like the way they presented it was just kind of like, it felt like more of the same, you know? It didn't feel very different or unique or anything like that. I mean, I like Ruby's, like, storyline, the fact that, like, she's an orphan and she literally doesn't know who her parents are. Like, I like that kind of story. Like, that's a good one. It's very, very compelling, very, like, tugs at the heartstrings, and I like that. But I don't know, with, like, her whole story of, like, you know, what she is in the greater scope of things, like with past companions, it just feels a little, it just kind of feels the same. Like, it doesn't feel like they're trying to do anything overly different with it. The new TARDIS it's okay. I mean, I don't have any massive problems with it. I like that they have the white round things. I love the white round things. I don't think there's a Who fan who doesn't love the white round things. It's cool. That scene where the Doctor made the lights change on the round things, I thought that was neat to give some more, you know, not flashbang lighting. I don't know, the new TARDIS just feels kind of generic a little bit, just a little bit. I like the round things, but the rest of it just kind of is okay. The jukebox is nice. The jukebox is mad nice, though. That's classy. And for other positives in this first episode and with the cast, I mean, the general storyline was like, sort of like the praise and empowerment of individuality, like, you know, there's no one else like you in the entire universe, and that was kind of the overarching message. But that's been done before. Like, we've done this plot line with the Doctor before, and it felt like, I feel like this episode was just extremely generic. The way Keeley described it to me was that aside from the TARDIS and, like, the sonic and the psychic paper, if you took all of that stuff away and presented the show as it was, then it wouldn't be as Doctor Who-esque. And yeah, I kind of agree with that. The general plot for this episode was that they landed on a space station, and it was like a reproduction type space station where they would, grow human beings, lab babies, if you would, test tube babies, if you would. And the station was abandoned after like some protests or something about budgeting or whatever. And, the babies were kind of just left on the station because it's like illegal to turn off the like reproduction machine, which is interesting. But the point is the machine couldn't be turned off, so the babies just kept being grown, and the babies were intelligent. Space babies, as the doctor kept insisting on saying, space babies. He always kept clarifying, and the first like 2 times I was like, okay, whatever, it's a bit, but the bit just kept going, and I was like, you don't need to clarify every single time, dude. And then the whole twist of the plot, because there's this monster on like the sub-levels of the station, the whole twist is that the computer's like educational programs went haywire, and the computer made everything literal, and that kids need fiction, and that there's a lot of like very, very child humor here, but I mean, it makes sense for the episode, but like, it's still not fantastic. They refer to the monster in the sub-levels as the bogeyman, and they find out later that the bogeyman is literally made of bogeys. Like, literally. Like, no joke. It is literal. That is the whole twist. Something being what it is literally when it's right in front of your face, but still not knowing, is a plot that's been done many times before. But the execution in the past, at least in terms of Doctor Who, the execution of something being as literal as it is, and it being so literal they can't figure it out, because it's just that literal and that obvious, because who would ever think to look for the obvious, right? In the past, they've executed it in such a way where the Doctor really, really, really puts his mind to it, where in this one, he just kind of keeps repeating the same things, like the same general points that they've already been over, and then he just sort of figures it out all of a sudden after analyzing it at a machine. The Doctor needed a machine to tell him what something was. And yeah, in sci-fi shows, you typically need to analyze stuff and to get a concrete answer, but the Doctor is really, he's like, what, 2,000 years old? 22,500 years old? You'd think in the past he has been clever enough to just figure it out on his own. And in this time, it took a machine to tell him for him to figure it out. Oh, my brain hurts just trying to figure out that sentence. Also, I want to make a side note here. I despise the new sonic screwdriver. I mean, its design. I hate it. It looks like one of those little handheld games that McDonald's used to give out in the Happy Meals when they actually gave out decent stuff. It looks like one of those. Actually, you know what, Ovid, do me a favor, cue up a picture of one of those little handheld games, just so the viewers who might not have been around that time know what I'm talking about. Alright, thank you. And I swear to God, if there is ever a moment where the Sonic can do wood, do a wooden door, then I will be so mad, because the Sonic doesn't do wood. So if the Sonic ever does wood, then I'm going to give it an immediate 0 out of 10. And then what was initially thought to be the onboard computer actually being this was actually one of the good things in the episode. There was like an onboard computer that would like help instruct the children, help them, do their jobs, keep the station running. And it was thought and sort of made very apparent that it was just an onboard computer, like an AI. But they find out later that it's an actual person just speaking through a nanny filter, as the character called it, Jocelyn. I think that was her name, Jocelyn. And she stayed behind on the station because she just couldn't live with herself if she just left all those children there. And, major respect for that. But I will say, the whole nanny filter bit, I actually like this bit. Anytime Nanny would swear or say something like, oh my god, it would translate to, like, invoke the deity. Like, oh my god, invoke the deity. I thought that was good. The nanny filter was actually kind of a funny bit. Very simple, very, like, well executed, just like, it was a good bit. And that was like one of the very few humorous things that I actually enjoyed about this episode. I thought it was a funny bit. I just thought it was funny. But there was also some, toilet humor in this episode, and this is Doctor Who. Disney. I get that you're Disney, and you're Disney. That's what you do, is pretty much just your whole thing is toilet humor. But, this is Doctor Who. treat it with some more respect. And basically, the way the toilet humor went was that there was this the engines on the spaceship or the space station weren't working because there's some sort of pressure buildup over the last 6 years. And it turns up that pressure buildup was caused by waste product, and they, and then they released it, released the pressure, and with the way the space station is formed, it kind of looked like an ass. It kind of just looked like two cheeks. And then, I'm showing the scene on screen right now. You can see what I mean. I'd rather not waste my time describing it because, oh my god. I'm appalled. I'm really appalled. There were some good things that came out of this initial episode. There were some good things. Like I said, I think the casting choice was fantastic. And just to get it out of the way now, I have zero problems with the Doctor being black. I'm actually kind of keen on that idea. I'm fine with that. Where with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, I also had no problems with the Doctor being female, but their casting choice with her was god-awful. But I think they did a little bit better with this one. And like I said, I'm kind of keen on the idea of the Doctor being a different race. I think that's fine. Also, I just want to point out this fact. They did CGI on the baby's lips when they talked, and it was cursed. It was evil. It was devil magic. But to summarize and just sort of put a nice little bow on all of my thoughts, I don't think this first episode was anything special. I don't want to say it's bad. Mid, definitely. It's not good, that's for sure. It's not good by any stretch of the imagination. I think the casting and the general acting of the just the cast was pretty decent. I think those are the sort of the main takeaways, but it's just everything had there were some ups but many more downs. For me, and probably most of the other Who fans, Doctor Who as a show in general is almost it's almost sacred to a lot of us because a lot of us grew up with it. Some of us may have only found it later in life, but the point is, to all the Who fans out there, Doctor Who and the idea of it is just something we hold very close to us. And Disney getting the rights to it might just be one of the, if not the worst thing to ever happen. Obviously, Jodie Whittaker's run as the Doctor, that whole series, was awful, god-awful, but now it's just I fear for the future more than I ever have for Doctor Who. And again, just to reiterate, just to be absolutely sure that you get this through your mind, I have absolutely zero problems with the Doctor being a man of color. I'm actually, fine with that. I think that's fine. But the general structure and how Disney is treating this episode, and the show in general, it seems, is so generic and repetitive of, past concepts. The originality's on his deathbed. We all know this by this point. But this is just a shining example of it. But, credits due where credits due. I think the actors did the best with what they could with the script. I think the Doctor is I'm fine with the Doctor being optimistic and upbeat because that's just the kind of person he wants to be. He wants to be positive. But when it comes to the more serious topics and serious matters, his tone, just generally, his tone usually drastically shifts, and it's he's being legit serious now. Where in this episode with this new Doctor, when they talk about Gallifrey, and they talk about everything, everything related to the Doctor's story, it's he wasn't as serious about it. And you could make the argument that, the Doctor has gone through that arc already of trying to live with the weight of his sins from the past and his trauma from the past, but no matter how far back you go or how recent you go, the Doctor almost always has that drastic tone shift to complete seriousness when things like that arise. And again, I feel like Ruby Sunday as a companion is a little bit generic. I like her orphan story where she doesn't know who her parents are and everything like that. I like that, but her general inclusion just kind of feels, like I said, she feels very similar to Clara, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just like, maybe I need to watch more episodes to get a proper nail down on it, but my hopes are not very high because this is Disney we're talking about, and, well, I don't really need to say anything more than that. But that's where I'm going to round things out for now. If this video does well enough, and if I see enough comments asking for me to talk about the rest of the episodes as they come out, episode 2 is already out, but I just wanted to cover the first one to save myself some sanity. But if you want to see me talk about the rest of the episodes, then, like, next time the next episode comes out, I'll do, like, 2 of them in one, just to make sure I'm caught up. And, you know, if you want to see me talk about more Doctor Who, then please say so, because I do love Doctor Who, and I do love seeing how Disney's going to defile one of my favorite shows. And if you like my general style of reviewing things and how I talk about shows, then be sure to check out my Invincible reviews. I'm really proud of those. They're some of the best videos on my channel, in my opinion, and I just think you'd all really enjoy them if you haven't watched them already. And of course, if you do like my general style of content, then please drop a sub. We actually just hit 1,700 today by the time I'm recording this, but you know, just still drop a sub. It'd mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to show a little bit of extra support, then consider becoming a channel member, like the beautiful names you're seeing on screen right now. Not only does it directly support me, but you get all sorts of cool rewards like early video access, exclusive emotes, a cool badge next to your name, Discord role, Discord channel, all sorts of cool stuff like that. So if you really like the way I do things, then consider becoming a channel member. Thanks, everyone. But that's gonna do it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah. Have a good day, everyone.